Hello, welcome to HighRoad U. We're delighted that you are taking your valuable time to join us. We welcome you to Landing Pages with Adam Higgins at HighRoad Solution. If you're currently dialed into the telephone conference, remember this is a toll number, but if you have a voice over IP connection on your computer, please hang up and click Mic and Speakers under the audio panel on the right side of your screen. Supporting materials for today's presentation will be made available following today's webinar. Presenters encourage questions, so please ask when prompted by clicking the chat panel and typing in your question. Our content leaders will try and incorporate in your questions during the session, but we'll address them during the Q&A portion at the end of the session. Please remember that HighRoad Solution is an authorized provider of CAE credits. You are only eligible to report this webinar for CAE credit if you attend live and for the entire session. Our session is eligible for 1 CAE credit. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce your presenter, Adam Higgins. For over a decade, Adam functions as a marketing and business analyst for nonprofits and associations. In 2013, Adam joined HighRoad Solution as the technical project manager to manage e-marketing and digital communication implementations. Throughout Adam's career, he bridges the gap between the business units and information technology departments. Adam began his career at the Los Angeles County Department of Community and Senior Services, where he developed and managed databases for thousands of workforce participants. Moving on to Western Growers in 2006, Adam managed the Enterprise Association Management System, AMS, and oversaw web development, design, and analysis for websites. Adam Higgins is a graduate from California State University, Dominguez Hills. He's a Los Angeles native that now resides in Atlanta, Georgia with his wife and son. Adam is one of the few men that enjoys wearing a suit and tie to work. And now I will turn the program over to Mr. Higgins. Please begin.
Thank you, and thanks everybody for attending this webinar on landing pages, right? And so it's awesome stuff that we're talking about today, a little bit of inbound marketing, behavioral marketing, but it all revolves around this simple page with a purpose, and it's a landing page. And it's an essential ingredient to your inbound marketing strategy, and it's one of the components that makes up in your multi-channel environment, right? So there's the multitude of channels that you can communicate with potential customers, and landing page is one of those components. And we'll kind of take a deep dive specifically on landing pages, which is a really underutilized marketing tool that a lot of associations can take advantage of, right? And so historically, associations are set up to protect their content, right? When I worked at Western Growers, we would put our blood, sweat, and tears into these documents, these white papers and research. And since we put all that hard work into it, we felt like it was only a member privilege to view this document. So we hid it from the public domain. And what that did was it prevented potential prospects to see this content and convert them over as members, because it was really good content. It was definitely germane to any prospect that was of Western Growers, right? And so that's what inbound marketing is, right? Is presenting your content out there that you've been developing all these years and giving it away, and not giving it away for free necessarily. I don't want to use the word free, but it is free for people to consume, but when they consume it, they're giving you something back, and that's the permission to market to them, right? And so today I really want to illustrate that associations do a really good job of retaining members, right? We had high retention rates when we were at Western Growers, upwards of the high 90s, but it's really difficult to find new members, right? It was always difficult to find prospects and bring them in as members. And what I want to illustrate today is that these landing pages can be that mechanism to generate new members for your association. And so content marketing has arrived, right? information age, they call it, right? And internet has provided this vehicle of information for people to consume. And landing pages are part of this new methodology of marketing, and that's inbound marketing. So rather than that traditional route of, your marketing techniques to push out ads or billboards or cold calls, right? And with that type of outbound marketing, you're distracting the potential customer. You're saying, hey, look at me now, pay attention to me now. And with inbound, you're allowing the people to come to you via the valuable content that you're pushing out there in the space. And so the landing page is this simple page with a purpose, right? It has a specific purpose. And today we're going to define landing pages for you and actually kind of show you the do's and don'ts of landing pages and really illustrate why they're important for the association market and how effective they can be. And we're going to dig actually into Hubspot, which is a inbound marketing tool. This may be the first time you're seeing it, so I want you to actually, I was going to do some slides but it makes sense to actually show you the product and actually walk you through it and kind of so you can kind of feel and touch it and see how easy it is to develop some of these landing pages so that you can start to generate some potential members down the road. All right. So what is a landing page, right? So it's a simple page that visitors can land on. That's simple definition, but there's some small caveats to this, right? So a landing page is that, right? It's a page that people land on. It's a starting point. It's the jumping point for you to start this funnel or start this progression through this funnel to a conversion that you're hoping that potentially it can be a member down the road, but this person starts off as a stranger, right, but now converts over to a member via these landing pages. All right, so the landing page is distinct from your website, right? So your landing page still carries over some of the branding elements that are within your website. However, you kind of remove a lot of the elements that you typically would have on a web page, right? So on a web page, you have your top navigation, you might have some search features, you might have a slider on the website, and you have multiple avenues to go through, right? On a landing page, it's just one street. It's not multiple streets that you can go down. You're creating one avenue for that person to communicate with you. And so that bullet point where it says specific focus, right, that's exactly what a landing page is defined as. It's a page that people can land on, but it has one focus. It has one call to action. And what you're doing is delivering some valuable content to that lead, that prospect, and then they interact with that page, whether it be a form or some type of call to action button. And then that starts this progression through a funnel of different communications that you're interacting with this customer. So this two-way communication begins starting with this landing page. And a good way to kind of define landing pages is to illustrate what it isn't, right? So a home page, you typically go to a website and then you land on the home page. That's a starting point, and a landing page is a starting point as well. But when you go to a home page, you have several options, right? And so you'll have maybe 4 or 5 options in the primary navigation. And the intent, as you know, a marketing or MarTech professional, is like you want people to come to the website and easily find information about your organization, right? And so you organize the content in a way so that they can navigate all over the place, right? So you have different ways that you present the information, whether it's through a slider, maybe it's a list of links on the right pane, but you have so many call to actions and so many ways that people can interact with the page. And the landing page isn't that, right? It has a starting point and it sends them through a specific funnel, right? I saw this on a blog post the other day. It's kind of like golf, right? So when you're golfing, you're trying to put the ball onto the green, right? And then there's only one hole that you're aiming for when you're golfing, right? And so that's what a landing page is. You're giving that person just, tries to get into that one hole. And the green, right, where the ball lands on is your landing page, right? And so that's your starting point to start these conversations with potential customers and give them something valuable so that they can have and something that they can remember your brand, because that's your first interaction or their first interaction with your brand. And so as they continue to consume your content, they begin to love your content and in return become a member, right? And so on the landing page, you don't want any navigation. You just want your call to actions and the specific focus for them to interact with that content they're trying to get. And so you want to bring in those new prospects from that landing page. And so to continue to drive home that point, so here's the home page of HighRoad. And you can see, right, at the top, we have a client login, right? So people can go up there. That's standard for, our customers. They already know it, so they're going to go to that button at the top, and that's the client login. And then there's the navigation buttons at the top, and then we have a slider that's talking about different, events and different calls out that call out to call to actions, I should say, so that you can click on and go to other pages within the site. And then you got blog posts and so on and so on. And a landing page isn't this, right? It isn't this home page. There's so many avenues that you can go down, so many roads that you can go down. But on a landing page, it's clear, right? Like at the top, it says a clear and bold header, right? That's the title of the page. You're specifying what you're going to get when you come to this page. You have some text to kind of illustrate, again, to the consumer, some type of creative copy that illustrates exactly what they're going to get. And then what do you have to do to get it, right? You have to fill out a form, provide these four fields to us, and then you get either this white paper or this document. So a landing page, as you can see, there's no navigation, right? The search is gone. There's no client login button. We got our branding still. We got the clouds. We still have the logo. We still have the blues and the grays that are consistent with our brand. But at the same time, we're removing a lot of the excess stuff that you see consistently with websites or web pages or home pages. And so this is a clean way to get people to do a specific action. And then within this action here is to get the free widget, right? But so these are some of the questions that you want to ask yourself when building the landing page. And so what is exactly are you offering, or what exactly is being offered, right? And so that question in turn is what is it in for me, right? You're giving them something, and how valuable is that to them, right? Because essentially, associations have a specific niche, right? Whether you represent a sort of some type of doctors, maybe they're CPAs or professional society, a specific niche of trade companies. So you're offering them something to help them within their realm of what they're doing, whether professionally or business-wise. So you're offering something valuable to that potential lead. And make sure you highlight that offering. Make sure you illustrate what benefits they can get out of that document or podcast or whatever content that you're delivering on that landing page. And then tell them, be upfront and say, this is what we need from you in order to get this document, in order to get this research paper, right? And then what you want to do is create this sense of urgency around this document. Like, you need to download this now. Like, this will help you in your position right now. Are you in this spot? Do you need help with this? Download this document now, and this will definitely help you in your career or help you in your business. And always specify how the user is going to get it. Make sure you say, okay, we're going to send it via email once you fill out this form, or the button to download would appear right after I click submit my information. So always honor what you're going to do, right? So if you say that you're going to deliver that document via email, deliver that document via email. But again, this is all done through some type of automation or some type of form that automatically sends that user or potential lead the email. So it's not much of a worry that you have to kind of honor that, but you always want to let the user know how they're going to get the offer. And so I think inbound marketing, landing pages, and so forth is perfect for associations. I think associations are inherently set up to help members, right? All the work that you do throughout the years is inherently to help whatever constituent base that you represent. And your day-to-day is basically for the members. And when I worked in an association, everybody understood that mission, that vision, that we are here for the members. And we over the years, I say we, like, as I'm still working for the association, but I still feel a part of it, but the associations have been using CRMs and AMSs for some time now, and you have tons of data within those AMSs. And so that data can definitely be used to show what content that you can develop or push out so that you know exactly what these constituents need. You understand what pain points that these customers have. And so you have different demographic data that you can use, you know, age, years of tenure at companies, and all the purchase history that you've aggregated over the years in terms of the events that people have attended, the webinars, and kind of the topical webinars that people have attended. If they are into legislative topics, you know that. And you know that from the data within the AMS. And you've been churning out this content, although it's been member-only content, you've been churning out this content for years with different magazine publications and research studies. So associations are well poised to start inbound marketing. Like, they have a head start because they already have the content, they already have the subject matter experts within the organizations to speak about the pain points that some of the members or potential members are experiencing that can lead to additional membership down the road. And so some of the use cases for landing pages is, you know, white papers, right? So you have, you know, research studies. You can also use them for coupons, right? You can establish some discounts for events or for certain periodicals or magazines. You can, you know, if you like this content, oh, here's a, you know, 20% off discount on a subscription to our association magazine, right? And you can do membership trials. And there's a lot of subject matter experts within these associations that know the association or their market very well that can provide consultative services to their constituents. So don't be afraid to kind of put out forms that, you know, that will go down the line of, you know, being consultants to your members as well, whether professionally or business-wise. So there's several use cases in terms of how you can display content on these landing pages. And I've seen, you know, working with different associations now, I've seen that there is content out there. I've looked at your emails, and I see that you have this type of content readily available. It may be only for member consumption at this point, but the thing to consider is possibly pushing that content so that it's available for everyone in the public, so that you can start this inbound marketing approach, which leads you to potential lead generation down the line, and really start to build up your prospect base and your qualified lead base. And so the inbound marketing has really kind of started to boom because of the internet, right? The content, there's so much content out there in the World Wide Web, on the internet, and the internet has gave way to this whole new approach of consumer purchase. And so I recently went out to go buy a car, and I was so well informed about the car that I was purchasing, and I was chit-chatting with the salesman, and he was like, yeah, I've seen this over the last couple of years that it's very hard to get a bad deal on a car nowadays because there's so much information about cars online, and some of the people that come in to purchase cars know more about the cars than the salespersons themselves, and they know exactly what they want. They already know the blue book value of the car, and so it wasn't really a billboard or a TV ad that really brought them in. It was their research that they'd done along the way to say, okay, this is the car that I want, and this is the price that I want to get it for. And so it's these blog posts, it's the research. So the consumer now more than ever is more informed, on purchase items. And so the internet has really empowered the consumer. And so there is this new wave of, okay, so since the consumer is more empowered via the internet, let's give them the content up front, and let's interact with them and lead them down this funnel and create this two-way dialogue between us and the consumer, and potentially make that person, love us, start a relationship, love our association, and become a member, right? And so what you're doing is you're focusing on earning that customer's attention. You're not buying that attention, right? So outbound marketing is the concept of, knocking on somebody's door and saying, hey, pay attention to me, right? And so with inbound, you're saying, hey, here's what we have to offer you. Here's some valuable content, and let us earn your membership. And so that's only done by engaging content such as blogs, podcasts, and white papers. And so this content has to be interesting, right, for the consumer to consume it. And so it has to add some type of value to their careers, to their business, and make them more likely to engage with you on other items. So if they engage with you on the landing page, hopefully down the road they'll engage with you maybe on your podcast or a meetup that you have. So we really want people to start to engage maybe with those fantastic events and trade shows that you put on. So it all starts somewhere, and starting somewhere is really starting with the landing page. And so what you're doing is you're aligning that content with the prospect interest, and that's where I go to say that you have that data within your AMS. Like, you know exactly what your constituent base likes, and so you can develop that content that goes in line with the interest of your members, right? And so if you put that out there in the open space, people will gravitate to it so that it goes along with their interest and start to engage consistently with that content. And so as you build up all of this content, it does great wonders for your SEO, right? It optimizes your search engine ranking so that when somebody searches for a specific issue that they're having professionally or business-wise, you pop up, right? I'm in kind of the marketing tech realm, so if I have an issue with the website or issues with data management and so forth, and if I went out and started searching content and I saw an association that was specific to my needs and I got valuable content from them consistently, and then, oh, by the way, I get an email from somebody from that association to say, hey, we're having a meetup at such and such, I might show up to that and then start to engage with them another way, right? So that's the whole realm of inbound marketing. And the landing page is that it starts that conversation. It's that icebreaker for you to start a whole conversation with the whole new prospective community that's out there looking for content to help themselves. And so when I say free, sometimes the word free means you're putting it out there for free, and that is true, but you are getting something in return, right? And you're getting that permission to market to them, right? And you never really get that with outbound. Outbound, you don't get the permission through the marketing. You're asking for permission, right? You're kind of knocking down the doors and calling to get permission to market to them. But with inbound, you automatically get permission because they've already engaged with you and say, hey, this is the rules of engagement. I'm giving you my email address because I like your content, so I want to engage with you more and I want to interact with you more, right? And so, it's only true that, you know, the more interaction that you have with that prospective lead, you're going to convert that customer into a member, right? That lead will eventually become a member because they're engaging with you consistently down the line, and so eventually they will become a member, all right? So kind of to drive home inbound in versus outbound, right? You got to know the differences between the two, right? So the inbound is always a two-way communication, right? So you're communicating, you know, via a specific channel, right? There's a multitude of channels out there that you can communicate with your leads, right? They come to you on a landing page. You might send them an email. They might respond, or maybe their avenue is Twitter, and so you interact with them on Twitter or Facebook or what have you. But you're having this two-way communication with the member, whereas outbound is just one way, right? You're broadcasting out and saying, hey, come to me and do this, right? That's outbound, where inbound is they're coming to you, they're seeking out you. And you can only do this with strong SEO, you know, the search engine optimization of your website, right? So, and to build up SEO, you have to have that, you know, really valuable content, a lot of it. And when you have a lot of it, it boosts your rankings in the search engines. And so you're getting away from the cold calls, you're getting away from the print, you're getting away from the ads, right? And what you're doing is waiting for these customers to come to you and delivering qualified leads to your membership sales team, right? So as they funnel through a specific workflow, you're measuring how engaged that potential lead is, and then you're handing them off to a membership salesperson so that they're a warm lead and can convert them into a member. And so a little bit talk about SEO, right? And so it starts initially off with a search, right? People are going to search for a specific issue, and I raised that point in terms of myself personally. I'm in the marketing tech realm, right? And I'm looking for content that's involving websites, maybe landing pages and databases, and so I'm conducting that search and looking for answers that's specific to my needs, right? And so you might have a you may be a CPA, right? And so your potential members, or I should say CPA association, your potential members are looking up maybe, you know, things to help them out in accounting practices, right? And so with that said, you know, you want to make sure that your site is there when that person makes the search, and the only way to do that is to have that real good quality content, right? And so you focus that content to attract the leads, and again, it kind of goes back to what you already have, right? You already have a lot of this content already built out. You already have this content sitting in your databases to understand exactly what your customers want, right? And so you bring this value on a consistent basis, and you're educating potential leads on a consistent basis, and that all plays into boosting your search engine optimization. And so keep in mind, search engine optimization, there is a technique to it. I mean, most of the search engines say that there isn't really a way to kind of put your rankings at the top. The only thing is to provide valuable content, but there is some things that you do need to do to your website in order for, you know, the Googles of the world to pick your site up more. So, you know, keywords, meta tags, those types of things on your page. Making sure you have enough content about the subject within the body of your blogs and different things. Your landing pages are specific. You know, you have certain HTML tags on the page. All that plays into it as well. Hubspot helps out with a lot of that because of it kind of hides all that kind of technical thing. I'm more of a technical person, so I kind of understand the techniques behind SEO. but there is ways to kind of boost your SEO via the technical realm, but the key ingredient in which all of them say it has to be valuable content, and it has to be consistent, and it has to be a lot of it, right? And so that's where the key is, and I want you to drive, if you take away something, it's all about the educational content and making sure that there's a lot of it and it's relevant to your constituent base. And so talking more on the content, it's member-centric, right? You have that content with context. And so think of these questions in mind if you're a trade association, right? How a person will come and search, and really what they're thinking is, how can I be a more profitable business, right? What can I do today to make my business sustainable so I can carry it on for generations and make it profitable for today? And so, you'll have content that revolves around, profitability and sustainability of a business. And if you're a professional society, obviously you're helping out around that person's career, right? You're having landing pages, you're having documents, you're having research that is in the realm of making that person a better employee for that organization, or, providing some, insight for upward mobility in that specific career. And so you inherently already do that with a lot of the things, but it's always member focused, and you still will have some membership activities, but again, the content that you're developing is pushed out with context so that people that are not within your membership can start to engage with the content that your members have been loving for so long now. And so what happens in this, exchange is that there's a barter exchange that happens, right? Once I come to that landing page, I start a barter, right? I say, hey, I'm going to give you my information, and then I'm going to take this document, this white paper, on, on something that will help me out in my career or help me out business-wise, right? And so you now have this real permission to start a relationship with this constituent, right? This potential lead, and it's different than the implied realm that we've been working with in the association market, right? So with permission, we kind of say, since you're a part of the association, we send you these materials, right? And that doesn't play well with inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is that it's almost explicit, right? I say, I want to receive these documents from you, right? So it's completely different from that implied and legalistic permission that is set up inherently sometimes with associations and how we've worked over the years. And so reversing that logic, or that counterintuitive from the implied and legalistic permissions, it's, okay, I'm providing you this document, now you give me permission to market to you. And once you get started, it's an awesome relationship that you start, because now you gain access to this person. Now you can start asking them additional questions about their career, about their business, and start to really build up your CRM and your marketing database, right? And so what happens is you get real quality leads from this, whereas when you're cold calling or you're getting a list from somewhere and you're going down a list and you're calling people up, you're reliant on that list to be accurate, right? Whereas in this situation, you're gaining permission from this specific person and getting real information. It's almost like dating, right? You go on your first date. That landing page is that first date, and you're having that exchange, and you're getting a couple little questions here and there, and you understand who this person is, and both of you do. And so then you go out on your next date, and you learn more and more and more about that person. And so that's where that gaining permission, and it's really valuable when it comes to the whole inbound marketing strategy. And so, again, it's a two-way communication, and really rounding out the slides here, and we're going to jump into HubSpot in just a minute and kind of show you the landing pages and how they work. But again, it's a two-way communication, inbound marketing. There's a multitude of channels that you can communicate with constituents with, whether it's blogs, whether it's podcasts, whether it's these landing pages, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, all the social media sites, YouTube, and so forth. Wistia is now a new site that's popping up that allows you to kind of have CTAs in your videos that a lot of businesses love, and it integrates well with HubSpot. And what you're doing is you're having these conversations with these constituents on their preferred channel, right? A person like me, I prefer Twitter actually over email. I communicate via Twitter more or Facebook more than I do email personally, right? So, that person may want to communicate with you via Twitter, so you got to be prepared for that, and you want to communicate back to them via that channel, right? And so all of those behaviors that they're having with your organization, right, these interactions that happen from that constituent to your organization triggers something, right? And these are all automated triggers that happen within the platform, right? So you're setting up predetermined emails that are highly personalized because of the content that you're getting from the permission that they gave you, right? So certain details about this potential lead, and so you're using that to create these hyper-personalized interactions via marketing automation. And so, for example, let's say a person comes to the landing page and they download a white paper, right? And once they download that white paper, the next day you have a trigger that sends them an email and says, hey, we're having a webinar on this same topic that you downloaded. How did you like the document, right? Did you like it? Maybe you should attend this webinar, and you can get more details that are in that document. And it's nothing fancy. It's not like a super creative email piece with CSS and HTML design. It can be straightforward, text with one link and say, hey, click on this link to register for our webinar. Here's the date. I think you would definitely be interested. It's almost like you're interacting with a real person, right? And so that behavioral marketing component is embedded in that inbound marketing strategy, whereas you're putting these triggers in place that make it seem personal, right? It makes it seem like it's a real human that you're interacting with, right? And so sometimes you get these marketing emails that are really cool, and I love design, so I love doing those creative emails. But what we find is that these marketing automation emails are just as effective or even more effective because it's coming directly to you and only to you, and so that you're interacting with almost a person via these automated triggers, okay? So we're going to dig into HubSpot. Click here. And so HubSpot is a cool way to really build some powerful landing pages. Whether you're building a landing page for a new lead or it's an existing customer, maybe you want them to engage with you more and their engagement levels are not as high as you want. HubSpot is perfect for that. You want to capture that lead and you want to nurture that lead with that two-way communication. And then you have that behavioral marketing component set up within your inbound marketing strategy where you're nurturing that lead along the funnel that you're hoping to achieve and potentially make that customer a member, right? So let me jump over into HubSpot real quick. And this is HubSpot. This is there's three components that make up what landing pages. Three components that make up landing pages. There's the form, which is the actual form that person is going to fill out. You don't have to have a form. You can actually have like a button with what they call CTAs, which is you just put that button within the body of the text, and then that person goes and jumps off down that funnel that you want to. And so that call to action that's there on the page can send them down a funnel as well. But sometimes you want to get information from that potential lead. So what you do is you add a form on there and say, hey, in exchange for what we're giving you, this valuable content, I'm going to require you to fill out this form. And so here is the form builder that's built in within Hubspot, and it's fairly simple to create a new form. I've already started one for the sake of time. And so you can see here I'm asking for first name, last name, email, and job title. And what's cool is that you can add as many fields as you want to this form. It's fairly simple. All you have to do is click on the upper category, right? And if I wanted to bring over, let's say, organization type to the form, all I have to do is click and drag that onto the canvas, and now that field is on the form. Okay, so now that I have first name, last name, email address, job title, organization type, this form is getting actually too big, right? So that's one thing to consider when building out some of these landing pages, is that you want to make sure that you want to, if there's too many fields on the form, you want to make sure that they complete it, right? And so if you ask for 20 questions, they're going to be like, no, it's not worth my time to fill out 20 questions. So you want to put as minimal questions as what you need. And what Hubspot has is this progressive profiling feature that's built in. And so I can only ask, let's say, 3 questions and move some of these queued questions down here, right? So job title, I'm going to move down, move industry down as well. And so what I have now is 3 questions on my form, right? And if I click on this icon here, which is a smart field, if they've already given me their first and last name, I don't need to get it again from them, right? If they already gave me their email address, why do I need to get it from them again, right? HubSpot has cookies set up on these web pages that pretty much tracks, who is submitting this information, right? So it keeps a stored cookie within the user's browser and matches that up with the data that's in the database. And so when you arrive to the page, these 2 fields, if you've already filled them out, it will remove them and ask the next question in the queue. So it's a really cool way to get additional details about that potential lead over time, right? Because now what you're doing is, each time they engage with you, right? So maybe they've, over the course of, let's say, 2 months, have downloaded 3 white papers from you. Each time, I got your first name and last name and email. The next time I'm going to get your job title, so I actually know, what you do. And then maybe the next time is see what industry that you're in, and so on and so on. And I'm using that data to create really hyper-personalized emails to them. Oh, I see that you're for me, a technical project manager. Here's some, PMMI classes, project management classes that you should take. So on and so on. So that's kind of how you can use that data that you're collecting over time, right? And so you don't have to get everything up front, right? So you can ask for, 2 or 3 questions and then potentially get the rest of the questions down the road as they engage with you more and more. All right, so what I'm going to do is save this field. So it's fairly straightforward to create, really easy to create a form, right? And so that form you can actually embed on a landing page, right? So I've already started a new landing page here. And so what's really cool about this is, and again, I was working at the association. I used to have to create these types of landing pages, more so for events. And we didn't have a tool like this to kind of graphically, change content or add forms. And I used to have to hand code some of these forms. And what I did was, old PHP and getting a little techie, but I had to develop the database, create the table, right, to hold the content that I'm asking for, within there, within the landing page, and then create all the HTML forms that will go onto the page, and then create any business logic for the form, right? If it was required, validation fields and so forth, and all that. For me to create a form, it would take me a day or two to push one out with changes and so forth. And this here, the marketing person is empowered to create this, right? They don't need a super tech person to create this, right? It's easy enough for a marketing person to kind of develop their own landing pages and their forms. And so here, here's the internal name, the landing page for webinar on the 4th. But here, you can easily change out the title of the page, right? And so the title of the page is what appears at the top in the browser, right? So I can rename that. I'm going to put a space between white paper, so that changes the title. I can change the link in the URL, right? So easy stuff, right? That was super difficult or required a lot of IT support in order for you to do, right? So I can put download here, and so this is the easy URL for you to use in other marketing materials and so forth. And then here I can edit the section header, right? A clear bold header. I can say download this white paper, right? And this happens real time, right? You can see I updated that field, and the form on the site updated right away, right? And so it's really easy to modify the content within the form, and all of this is editable, right? When I hover over this, I can click the pencil to modify the content that's within within the page. You can put in additional links if need be. Bullets, really customized. You have a full WYSIWYG editor. If I scroll down here as well, actually a little further, let's scroll down. I can change the content just as I did the title of the page. I can also update the form, right? So forms are separate from the actual landing page. So here I can choose a different form if I wanted to display on this landing page. As simple as that, right? And so you can also redirect the user from this page to another web page or another landing page, or you can present the message directly to them. In addition to that, when somebody fills out a form, I can notify people within the organization to say, hey, this person has filled out the form, so that we know, this person is engaging with this customer, and maybe I want to do a personal follow-up outside of the marketing automation feature that we have. And so here, add a workflow is where that automation, we're going to speak on that in just a second in terms of workflows and how they operate, and how you can create those funnels that we were kind of discussing during the slide presentation, is that you can create these automated messages based upon the interaction that the customer is having with you on this page. And then here is send up a follow-up email, right? So let's say this is the download a white paper landing page, right? So I can have the link to that white paper in an email that I already have, kind of teed up within HubSpot. So once somebody submits, they'll get the email and say, here is your white paper. Click on this link to download it. All right? And so it's a really, really easy way to create these landing pages. It takes, I don't know how much time this saves. I remember having to spend two days, developing pages like this. And then another takeaway too is you can see that this template here is following like what I was talking about, removing some of the navigation elements, removing a lot of the excess stuff, right? You have a specific focus here. You're going to download this white paper, you're going to submit this form, you submit it, and then now that conversation begins. Right? And so let's jump over into the automation portion of HubSpot. And so you have these things called workflows. And so the workflows can be based upon certain interactions that the lead or the constituent is having with you via these landing pages, right? And so here is the trigger. When active, this workflow will enroll contacts who fill out this form, right? So if a person fills out the landing page webinar demo, right, I want them to do A, B, and C, or I'm going to do A, B, and C, right? And so here I can tee up a message to go out at 12 p.m. and establish a predefined template based upon, you know, the interaction that they're having with me, right? And I can do multiple actions. I can add different actions based upon certain demographic fields that they provided to me. So if they provide a job title to me, I can set up a different type of email address or email message to go to that person. So workflows really starts that behavioral marketing component with the inbound marketing strategy, right? So based on somebody's behaviors, I'm establishing certain triggers that fire off, that engages the customer more and more down that funnel that we want to create in what HubSpot calls a workflow, right? So fairly simple to set up. You know, little logic that needs to be established here and things that you need to think about and strategize about. But that landing page, as you can see, can be that starting point for that conversation, right? And so what you're doing is establishing that relationship up front. Once they give you your information, you're now starting a conversation and a relationship with them via maybe email, maybe it's Twitter, but that channel that they're communicating with you, you can really start to engage the member and potentially turn them into a member. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The forms, landing page, and workflows. I'm gonna see. I covered a whole lot within the last 50 minutes or so. And see if there's any questions here. It doesn't look like we got any questions. So we can just conclude today's webinar. And if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via Twitter or email. If you need to see some more details on HubSpot, reach out. We are having a innovation conference coming up in a couple weeks, so there's going to be people from HubSpot speaking. So feel free to register for that. There's 2 days actually. It's an innovation day and a training day, right? Training day, I'll be talking about data and how you can use it. So talking about some of those components when we were discussing all that data that you have in your AMS. So I got a talk on that. But we got some really good thought leaders coming in, and one of those is HubSpot that's coming in to speak. So you might want to check that out and get some more details on HubSpot. All right, cool. That concludes our webinar for today.
Thank you for joining us at the U for Landing Pages with Adam Higgins at HighRoad Solutions. This concludes today's program. Have a great day, and you may now disconnect.